Welcome back to another episode of TVGP's Critical Misses, show where my compatriot and I are catching up on all the media hits we missed. Almost made it through that one without flubbing. I'm your very clearly under the weather host, Boston, joined as always by Moonpier.
Hello.
This is our fourth Poets of the Fall album. We're going to be doing Temple of Thought, 2012's Temple of Thought. After the last album, I'm kind of excited about this one. I think for kind of different reasons of the last ones, where clearly there was another step up in production values and a string representation in the last one. I'm kind of excited to see where they go with this one. They've been a band for quite a while at this point, so are they gonna keep leaning into that stuff, or are they gonna go back to basics like I feel like a lot of bands do, where it's like we're just gonna make an album that rocks this time. We're done with having Butch Vig come in and produce the heck out of us. Let's get the guitars back out. Let's get all of us in a room. So I'm curious to see that.
So I didn't know this. One of the songs on this is from Alan Wake's American Nightmare.
Okay. All right.
As someone who's not played American Nightmare, that's something I did not know.
I don't think I played that either.
Of course.
Yeah.
So worth mentioning, we did jump over Alchemy Volume 1 in here, which is basically, it's a quote-unquote double vinyl edition of their debut album, Signs of Life. So it's got a whole bunch of stuff on it. It had a CD, DVD with every music video they've produced on it.
Oh, nice.
Also included 2 new songs.
Okay.
No End, No Beginning, and Can You Hear Me? Can You Hear Me is one of my favorite Poets of the Fall songs. Ironically enough, also featured on the Remedy remake of Death Rally.
Okay.
Because apparently Remedy can't release a video game without them, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Right. So it sounds like that's probably a little bit of homework for maybe myself and the listeners to go out and listen to that one.
Yes, and I would say Can You Hear Me definitely is one of those things. So this might be completely wrong, but it's very hard to get true facts about this. But basically, this was 2010, 2011, 2013. It's not a good time to be online or have opinions about anything to do with human rights.
Right.
The lead singer was caught by paparazzi coming out of, I use the word caught loosely here, coming out of an LGBTQ bar.
Okay.
And was promptly plastered all over the gossip pages and everything else.
Oh, bummer.
At which point his response was, "Who cares? Does it matter?"
Yeah. To clarify my bummer comment, it's not a bummer that he was walking out of there. Like, we are obviously supporters, but it's a bummer that people are like, what is he doing in there? It's like, shut up. Who cares?
And I'm pretty sure most of the proceeds from Can You Hear Me went to inclusive charities.
Oh, cool.
To kind of prove a point, from what I can remember. But it was a different time.
Yeah.
Arguably, it hasn't changed that much.
Sadly, no. Yeah.
But that was one of the things that actually drew me into listening to Can You Hear Me. I was like, okay, I love this song. It has a great message, and the video is incredible too. And it's a simple video. It's a very simple video. The song has a very clear message. You should maybe go check that out.
Okay.
As for this, Temple of Thought, I think this might have possibly one of my favorite Poets of the Fall songs on it, period.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you what song, because
you don't want to. Yeah.
I don't want to poison the well, so to speak.
Right.
However, it also has one of my least favorite Poets of the Fall songs on it.
Oh boy, really rolling the dice with every track here. Okay. Goodness. The highest highs and lowest lows again.
Yep.
So
I get to let you. Actually, I might have like 2 or 3 of my least favorite songs on this album.
All right, I like it. I like it.
So this is gonna be one of those albums where it's like you're probably gonna love and hate a lot of it because it will go from one extreme to the other. Now I'm curious because I know why I don't like one of those songs, and I'm curious if it speaks more to you, and if you will really like it because of the type of song it is.
I see. All right. So maybe we'll have a little bit of a different opinion, a different feeling about some of these tracks here. Okay. That would be exciting. Or we might just come here in another week and say like, oh, this track. 1 out of 5. Yeah.
So this is where their stuff gets really complicated too, because this album has a bonus track on it called Signs of Life.
Okay.
Signs of Life is also the name of their first album.
Right.
There is a lot of like problems with that kind of thing in this, because I'm pretty sure they have a different song called Twilight Theater in one of their other albums, and it's
well, and there was like an EP called Carnival of Rust before the album was put out that has a different. It's just like, guys, please, my wiki pages.
Naming conventions are difficult, apparently.
Right.
But I mean, what is this? Is this 4 or 5 that we're up to now?
This is our 4th album.
Okay, so we've got 1 album to go, which is 2022's Ghostlight.
Right.
It's a big jump from here. I'm curious to see. I'm actually curious, like by the end of this season, if you go back in and color between the lines,
right? Do the extra reading, as it is. Yeah.
I'm curious if that's something you would end up doing. But obviously, we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at the end of next episode for sure.
Yeah, I do also really like the album art for this album, which is the Angel and Devil version of the lead singer on the playing card.
Yep,
really solid.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm thinking of here for this album. It's not. I don't know if I have much else to say other than, we're kind of into it now. So here's another. Next episode's intro will probably be a little bit more exciting, but I don't know. Looking forward to this one. Yeah. Any final thoughts here?
We're also like a couple of hours in, and of course, you're sick, so
yeah, the brain's a little bit mushy up there. I've been sick for like a month, so yay parenthood. 2 thumbs up. All right. Well, on that note, let's go listen to the album.
Oh yes.
We're back. We have listened to the album. Let me scroll down on my notes here to Temple of Thought, parentheses 2012, close parentheses. Boy Moon, what an album. What a trip, what a journey, a sonic journey through Temple of Thought here. Let's start off here with the first track, Running Out of Time. I gave this a hot 3 out of 5. I wrote keyboards, harmonizing vocals, a guitar solo. It's a brand new band. They're stretching, they're spreading their wings, stretching their legs, other sort of growing,
tuning the guitars.
Yeah. The orchestra is winding up for another Poets of the Fall album here. I thought this was a solid track. Like I think we have seen over the not really the first album, but the rest of the albums we've listened to, they do a good opening track. Like their side 1, track 1 is usually not like a mission. Yeah, it's not like a mission statement, but on point. I think is the best way of putting it. I think you're right. Of just like, here we go. This is we're gonna come out of the gate with a banger here.
Yeah, it always seems to be like an up-tempo song as well. Like, this is a fast-paced song.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, I can get behind that.
Yeah. I think my only criticism of this song is the final whispered word is a little bit cheesy. Like it's fine, but it's a little bit like, all right, you kind of ruined it for yourself. But like,
Isn't it reverbed as well, I believe?
I
Or
think so.
echoes?
I think so. There's some stuff on that one. So it's not a thing where it ruins the song, by any
Oh.
stretch of the imagination. But it's sort of one of those things where you're listening to it and you're like, yeah, and then that happens and you're like, all right, sure. Um, so it fine, 3 out of 5. Not super bad. Not bad. Good opening
Oh.
here. Next track here is Temple of Thought. I wrote There Are the Strings.
Yep.
I give this a 2 out of 5 because I think it's fine, but it's one of their songs that feels like it kind of doesn't meet its potential. Like you can kind of see on its report card, it'd be like, yeah, you're doing great, but like, it's just like reach a little bit more, and I feel like you could really excel here. And I don't think this song ever really gets there, which is fine.
Sorry. I'm just thinking about the report card for different albums now. And I'm thinking about
That's
Chinese
right.
Democracy, and it's just like zeros and then do better written at the bottom.
It's just do better in like triple underlined of just like see me after
Uh-huh.
class or don't just get out. Um,
Uh-huh.
yeah. What do you think of hold on, I already Temple of Thought, the title track here.
I love this song.
Okay.
I've always loved this song. Like ever since I first heard it, this has been one of my favorite songs from this album.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's super strong for me personally throughout, and obviously I also have that connection with it that I've been listening to it for however many years at this point.
Right.
So Temple of Thought is probably my favorite song on this album, but there's a couple of really good ones that might fight for that spot as well.
Sure. I do have to give them credit. I think lyrically, this is a pretty strong song. I typically don't give them a lot of credit for their lyrical prowess. It's a lot like Muse's first couple albums, where it's like, that's sort of not the point. But I think for a couple of songs on this album, I think it's pretty. They're doing some pretty good stuff. Speaking of lyrically, go ahead.
This is, I think, definitely where they get the. I think a lot of this album is like, okay, now you've got your English lyrics down pat, essentially.
Right. Speaking of that, next track here, Cradled in Love. I know I am probably 100% opposite to most people, giving this a 2 out of 5. And
I'm right there with you.
Okay.
It's way too whispery. Like I don't like don't get me wrong, the guy's got a hell of a voice, but he's trying to hit notes which are a little too high, in my personal opinion, for
Right.
his comfort zone.
Yep.
And the song is whispery as hell. And it's like I don't come to you for whispery songs.
I give him a lot of credit for trying to hit those notes, and this is the most Final Fantasy VIII town theme acoustic guitar work I've heard them do without being on that game's soundtrack. But it doesn't do it for me, really. It sounds, and this is not an insult, it sounds very much like a song you would play for your first dance at a wedding reception. And like that's not a negative, but like if I feel like this is one of those songs where you're like, this is the most romantic song I've ever heard, and I want to do my first dance to this. Like that's cool. I just don't think it really does it. I think lyrically it's pretty strong, but not really for me.
Yeah, it's fun. Like lyrically, it's pretty fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like especially on this album they kind of finally nail the imagery they're looking to sing about in a way that they're like they've always gotten kind of close to but never really managed to nail it.
Yeah.
I think this time they kind of finally figured it out. Kamikaze Love is the next track here. I give it a 2.5 out of 5. Oh, hi, Louise. She's here to talk about Poets of the Fall too. I gave this a 2 out of 5. It's kind of a standard Poets of the Fall song. I like the breakdown, kind of during the latter half of the song, but I think it's fine. I think it's okay. Sorry. Moon's cat is aggressively headbutting him. He's gonna lose a tooth here in a minute.
I was torn because I used to hate Kamikaze Love, but the more I'm listening to it now, I actually really like it a lot. Because it is very appropriate to a lot of people I know about relationships.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it's one of those things where it's like I think I grew with that song, or that song grew with me, I should say. So I like it more now than I used to. Previously, I would have been like, 2 out of 5, whatever. But these days, I think it's a lot better than I gave it credit for.
Sure.
What number did you rank this?
I gave this a 2.5 out of 5.
Okay, thank you.
Right there in the middle. I think it's another one of those songs that I think of like Poets of the Fall wrote this song. It sounds very much like their stuff. It's a pretty standard track for them. Like not in a like I've said before, not in a bad way. It's just kind of like here's a standard song from them. The Lie Eternal is the next track here, track number 5. I give this a 2 out of 5. I dig the chorus, but the verses kind of aren't doing it for me. Which I feel like for them is the opposite of how I typically feel about their songs. But I did write down around the 3.5 minute mark on, where they had the kind of muted drums in the background. I liked that a lot. Like I liked them trying to do something a little bit different, trying to kind of break out of the standard stuff they do. But I kind of wish there was more of it in the track overall.
Yeah, and this is probably their punchiest chorus. I feel like it's I don't think it's the best chorus, but it is delivered with a fair amount of punch. We'll say. Yeah,
I would agree with that. What's our next track here? Skin, track number 6. Give this a 3 out of 5. This is the Poets of the Fall that I like. It's this kind of big, room-filling, epic kind of track. Like I like when their tracks get big. And obviously, as we talked before, I like it when there's orchestral stuff. Bring in the strings, and I'm like, yes, 3 out of 5. I wish the lyrics were a little bit stronger, because I think they're okay, but I wish there was a little bit more punch in it, because I think that could really excel it into like a 5 out of 5 sort of thing. But otherwise, I think it's pretty solid. I like it.
Yeah, for this one, I've noted this is a relatively simple song, but they're using the power vocals. Like you said, they're going big with the vocals in this a lot.
Yep.
And I really appreciate that, because I genuinely love this guy, like the lead singer's voice. Like I genuinely adore it when he goes on this type of song.
Yeah.
None of this cradle love whispery BS. Like when he actually just gets to just go for it, I think that's when he's at his strongest.
It reminds me a lot of the singer from Ghost, where it's like they have a very distinctive voice, not in a bad way. Like I know the lead singer from Flyleaf is kind of like infamously a very distinct singer. But this is one of those things where it's like, yeah, man, like you really pushed your voice, and you really got the like, you really like sang into that mic with all your might, and I appreciate it. I kind of like it.
In all honesty, it's one of the reasons why I really adore CMFT, which I'm not going to say the entire name of the band, but that's Corey Taylor's like solo side project, where he's just doing like Western, like country and Western songs.
Right, I
Um,
forgot about that. Yeah,
but like his vocal delivery on that is incredible because he
yeah,
has that history of being able to do both singing and screaming and everything in between.
he's
So
got a
like
hell of a
him,
voice, man.
like minor sidetrack here. If you haven't seen his set from when he did the live tour in London, it was just
Mm,
him doing an acoustic set in London. You should watch it because it's
yeah,
incredible.
go pause the show. We'll still be here. Go watch that and then come back. Wow, that was great, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's got a hell of a voice. I don't think he gets enough credit personally.
No.
Next track here, The Distance, which sadly is not a cover of the Cake song, which I would really love to hear this guy going, he's going for speed.
I
But
don't even know what you're referencing. That's how musically out of touch I am.
this is one of those songs you have definitely heard, you can't hear it in your head. Um, I I wrote this one has kind of a fun guitar intro. We
Mm-hmm.
kind of typically don't get that from Poets of the Fall a lot. Um, and I like there's kind of a noodly guitar intro here. Um, I I like that this one feels bigger than a lot of the other stuff. You know, we were talking about here during Skin in the last track. Like these are the big, full kind of songs that I really like for Poets of the Fall, and that's the sound I really like from them. It's kind of nice having two tracks back to back that kind of really go for it. Um,
Mm.
I like it.
Yeah, and the funny thing is this is also a big song, but it also is such a different feel from the last song as well.
Yeah,
Like it feels so different, especially with the really different intro. It
yeah.
feels like a completely different kind of song, but still in a very big kind of way, which I liked a lot about this.
And I think that's been a weakness of them for the albums we've listened to. We're kind of like you're in the middle of the album and kind of like leaning towards the back half. There's been a tendency to have two or three tracks that sound very similar and kind of bleed into each other. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's really impressive that they have these two tracks back to back that I think in albums past would have been hard to differentiate from each other, but these are very similar tracks that sound significantly different. I think it shows kind of a real growth coming from them, which is pretty impressive. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Thumbs up, Poets of the Fall. Anxiously anticipating the next album. It's
What
like,
number did you stick on this one?
which one is this? Show Me This Life?
Oh, this is
Oh, that
the
was The
distance.
Distance. That was 3 out of 5.
Okay.
He's going the distance. Next track here is Show Me This
Stop
Life.
it.
He's all alone. Guitar solo I wrote. This is one of
Mm-hmm.
the second time we've gotten a guitar solo. The first time was a joke of like being a big rock star.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's still such a good delivery on that moment.
it's really good. I like the guitar solo. This is another one that's just kind of a standard Pose of the Fall track. I think they're um, kind of doing their standard thing, delivering a pretty solid track, and it's fine. It's okay.
I'm guessing it's a 3.
2.5, 2.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like this song a lot.
yeah,
I don't know why. I honestly do not know
that's
why.
okay.
I just I, the story told throughout the lyrics in this song I actually really like. Um I in particular I like the duality of like the first two lines of the chorus. I don't need a miracle, I'm much more predictable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, okay, that's me. Like in like I get it. I'm boring, and I don't need something special. I just need something normal.
Right. It's good delivery too.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how he somehow manages to make miracle and predictable rhyme, but he does.
Yeah, it works, I think. Next track here, the third to last track here, Morning Tide. I give this one a 2 out of 5. And it's a little unfair, but I think this song is okay, but it's bad because it's next to the next track. So like as the album kind of winds down, I think if this wasn't followed by the next track, it'd be like, yeah, that's a pretty good track. Like that's a pretty solid album closer, but
Yeah, and
we still
it's
have
the
the next
ballad
track.
song on the album as well.
Right. And it's not bad. I kind of like I like the idea of like the hook here, the pre-chorus stuff having some hoist the sails, pirate sailing
Mhm.
imagery, which I wasn't
Of
really
course you
expecting
do.
from them.
I didn't
Um,
even think about that. Of course you do.
yeah, but like that's not any sort of lyrical content I think I would expect from them, because they sort of tend to be a lot more fantastical, either like all the way down to earth of like this is real life, or there's this kind of fantastical thing going on for them.
Hmm.
So I think it's good, but like, you know, it's fine. What do you think?
I agree with you, and it's funny because I think I used to like this song a lot more.
Hmm.
Probably when I was in my ballad phase, um, and on in part one of this recording, we
Hmm.
discussed how there was a couple of songs on this album that I absolutely despise, and I'm curious of how you feel.
Okay.
And you just spoiled one of them
Okay.
because
Okay.
I used to hate the next song and like this song a lot more.
Oh, okay.
Um, I do
So
think my opinion has flipped a little bit, though.
okay, let's talk about the second to last track here, the Ballad of Jeremiah Peacekeeper. 4 out of 5. I think this album kills it, or this track kills it. I think it has really solid guitar work. Um, I like the little notes of choral singing in the background. Like there's
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's a sample or whatever, but I think that the little flashes of that help the song a ton. Um, and I think this is one of those songs where his voice perfectly matches everything in the song. Like everything perfectly matches at every point in this track. And it's easily the strongest album closer they have ever had that we have heard on the show. Like I think that's been our feedback so far, has been like you just can't finish an album strong
Uh-huh.
enough, and by God they finally did it.
Yes, that this is like I said, I used to despise this song, the
Hmm.
next one even more. Um, but I think this is a much stronger song than I give it credit for previously.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm right there with you. Like this is a lot more. It's a lot better of an ending than they are used to delivering. We will
Hmm.
say.
And then they screwed it up.
Uh-huh.
The happy song is the actual album closer, 0 out of 5. Um,
1 out of 5.
I I I put this
I didn't know we could
disturbed.
do zeros.
Okay, well then 0.1 out of 5. Um, I wrote this disturbed fan fiction is 4 minutes long and it's 10 minutes too long. And if the song never haunts my ears again, it will be too soon. Um,
Don't ever play Alan's Wake American Nightmare.
yeah, I just
It's
it's
a throwaway. It should not be on the album. Period.
it should not be on the album. It should not be on any B sides. It shouldn't be released. It should just exist in that game's DLC that no one played, and it's horrible. I just it and the thing that makes me so mad is you finally figured out how to close an album. The Ballad of Jeremiah Peacekeeper is so good, and then you
Uh-huh.
screw it up. Like just give this the snip. Just oh my god. I'm getting angry all over again. I just like it's so bad and nearly irredeemable in every form or fashion. I don't I don't know how you feel about it. It sounds like you're also not a fan of it.
Uh, I despise it. Like, literally, my note is I hate this song.
Yeah. I just, and it, the irony of it is, I like Disturbed's first album. It is not good, but I like it. And it hit me at a really perfect time in my life for that album to be catchy. This track sounds a lot more like what I naturally gravitate to. It's just bad. And I'm sorry.
Yep. Well,
So,
look on the bright side. Disturbed have a new album out called Divisive, so, you know.
oh God. Oh no. All right, I'll have to go check it out. Heaven help me.
Came out last year, by the way.
That probably says something that I had no idea. Goodness. Okay. Pray for me. Overall, I feel like Temple of Thought was a lot more even.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Evolution was the last album by Disturbed. That came out in 2022. Divisive is their new album. That came out November 18th, 2022.
Sorry, 2 days ago? What the heck? Goodness. I think this album is a lot more consistent throughout. I think that's been kind of not our frustration, but I feel like our feedback for the last couple of albums is like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And I feel like excising the final track from this and just leaving Jeremiah Peacekeeper as the final track here, I feel like it's really solid all the way through, with a couple of songs that I don't click with, but they're not bad. It's just sort of like, oh, it's fine, or like this song it's not bad, but maybe it doesn't click with me. But like, especially the bookends of this album, it starts really strong, it ends really, really strong, and everything else in the middle is really solid. And I think that leads me to be pretty excited for us to take a decade trip here for our final episode and see kind of where this the experience this band has gathered over the past couple decades kind of leads them to.
Yeah, and apparently this is something I didn't know, but they basically consider them having trilogies of albums.
Okay.
So the first three, the second three, and then obviously you get the odds and sods in between. But literally we are jumping all the way to 2022 over three albums. Which I will say, Jealous Gods I think is a pretty solid album. Clearview is okay. Ultraviolet I haven't listened to enough. They've got a couple of banging singles on that though. And Ghostlight is the most recent one, which I'm excited / nervous to get into as well.
Okay.
Because like you said, it's like, how are they we saw bits and pieces of Evolution, maybe a backstep here and there over what we've covered so far.
Right.
We're doing a big old jump here.
Yeah, like we're gonna see where all of this kind of leads the band to, and kind of what the most modern version of Poets of the Fall sounds like. So I'm pretty excited. So overall, solid album. I like it. I'm kind of looking forward to where the future's gonna go for this promising young band, Poets of the Fall.
Yes. Get that last song off the album though. Like,
yeah, please God, just like, even the extended version of this album still has it on it. Just and
it feels like a skit from an Eminem album from like the 2000s.
It feels like a skit from a Lonely Island album. Like, it's just like
speaking of musicians I have zero experience with, by the way.
It's really rough. All right. That's it for Temple of Thought here. Thank you very much for everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.